After 3 heartwarming minutes of Chopin, this janitor's unexpected gift left a CEO speechless. Charlie swept the sleek marble floors of the corporate office, each stroke of the broom like a sigh escaping from the depths of his heart. He was just a janitor now, but in his mid-40s, he carried the weight of lost dreams and heavy burdens on his shoulders. The factory job that supported his family evaporated into thin air, leaving him cleaning offices in the vivid glow of fluorescent lights. Despite the stress, there was a flicker of joy within him: music. It was in the warm embrace of Chopin's melodies where Charlie found fleeting peace. One day, just as he swept up the last remnants of his work, he noticed an old, neglected piano in the lobby. The moment his fingers touched the keys, a wave of raw emotion washed over him, and he poured his soul into the music. The soft yet powerful notes of Chopin swirled around him. He lost himself in the rhythm, forgetting the bills, the stress, the pressure. But then Ava, the high-flying CEO rushing to meet deadlines, stormed into the lobby. To her, Charlie was nothing more than an obstacle, his music an unwelcome distraction in her chaotic world. Yet, as Charlie lost himself in the notes, a shift began within her. It was subtle, but undeniable. The melody wrapped around Ava like a soft blanket, and for those few moments, the corporate armor she wore so tightly melted away, leaving behind the vulnerable heart of a woman trapped by her own ambitions. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Time fluttered away, yet Charlie's financial woes loomed larger than ever. He felt the pressure to take a second job, threatening the precious moments with his wife, Sarah, and their 2 kids. Just as despair seeped into his bones, a crisis shook their neighborhood. A single mother, devastated after losing her partner, needed help. Charlie, driven by compassion, rallied the community, rallying to organize a benefit concert. Even Ava found herself at the back of that bustling room, believing it was her duty to support. But as Charlie took the stage, everything changed. With each note, tension melted into joy, binding the audience together. And for Ava, the music pierced through her corporate shell, lighting a path to lost feelings and aspirations. As the final note hung in the air, Charlie stepped down. His heart raced as he approached Ava, a fragile yet hopeful piece of music in hand, a gift symbolizing hope and connection. She blinked in surprise, her face a mirror of disbelief and warmth, silently questioning the world they both inhabited. What did success mean if it came without understanding? Their eyes locked in that charged moment, a spark ignited between them, unveiling the potential of a future transformed by shared humanity. Would they find a way to bridge their gaps, uplift one another, and truly understand what it meant to belong? In that impactful silence, the music lingered on, casting a spell of hope and possibility over the crowd. Charlie looked into Ava's eyes, feeling the weight of that shared moment. It was as if the whole world paused, just the 2 of them in that dim light, breathing in the afterglow of the music. For a heartbeat, the noise of the bustling room faded away. He had always admired her from afar, the way she carried herself with such confidence. But now, here she was, vulnerable and human like everyone else. "Thank you for sharing that," Ava said, her voice barely above a whisper. I didn't realize how much I needed to hear that." Charlie felt his heart swell. She was a CEO, a lioness in her kingdom, and yet here they stood, 2 people momentarily united through music. "It was just Chopin," he replied, his voice timid yet sincere. "No, it was more than that," she insisted, her eyes glistening with something he couldn't quite place. "Was it realization? Relief? You have a gift. You have a way of making people feel." His cheeks flushed. Maybe, just maybe, he didn't need to be just a janitor anymore. Music could be more than a fleeting escape. It could be a bridge. The concert had been a whirlwind of emotions, and as the crowd began to disperse, Charlie felt the weight of the community's gratitude. Families gathered their things, a few even offering small donations they could spare for the single mother. Each nod, each smile, felt like a small victory, a reminder that compassion could ripple through even the darkest days. Ava hung around, watching the mingling crowd. Passing conversations floated around her like leaves in a gentle breeze. She approached Charlie again. "I didn't expect to feel anything tonight," she confessed. "All I've known is deadlines and meetings. I've lost touch with what really matters." "You're not alone in that," he said, sitting on the edge of the stage next to her. "Many of us get lost." Her expression shifted, a slight frown tugging at her lips. "I've sacrificed so much for my career. Sometimes I wonder if it's all worth it." Charlie nodded, understanding. "It's easy to lose touch with what makes us happy. Music helps me find my way back." Ava turned to him, her eyes bright with a spark of something new. "Then maybe we can work together. I'd like to help organize more events like this. The community needs it." Surprise broke through Charlie's hesitation. "You mean, you'd help me?" "Not just you," she said, her voice firm with determination. "I want to make a difference too. We can use our strengths to bring people together." The thought ignited a sense of hope in Charlie. A partnership could redefine their paths. It felt daunting, yet exhilarating. As they discussed ideas, the weight of the world seemed to lift. Charlie's dreams began to weave tentatively into reality. "Let us meet next week," Ava said, jotting down a date on her phone. "I have a feeling this is just the beginning." Charlie smiled, feeling lighter and freer than he had in years. It was a strange dance. They were entering a janitor and a CEO, two worlds colliding. But in that moment, it felt right. But just as he began to believe in this new possibility, a flicker of doubt crept in. "Do you think others will accept us working together?" he asked, his heart racing again. Ava paused, her brow furrowing slightly as if she had never considered that angle. It won't be easy, but sometimes, the hardest roads lead to the best destinations. Charlie took a deep breath, the thrill of anticipation mixed with trepidation. He wondered where this new path would lead them both. As the lights dimmed and the crowd began to disappear, one question rang in Charlie's mind: was he truly ready to bridge the gap between two very different lives? He stepped out into the night, determined and uncertain, unaware of how deeply their collaboration would test everything he had ever known. The following week stretched on like a tightrope, balancing Charlie's newfound hope against a backdrop of uncertainty. Each day he swept the halls of the community center, his heart fluttering with thoughts of Ava and their soon-to-be collaboration. The sweep of his broom became a rhythm, an echo of the melody that had once bound them. He'd never have imagined that a few moments of music could spark something so profound. On the day of their meeting, he arrived early, nerves dancing in his stomach. The community center buzzed with energy. Children laughed, parents chatted, and the aroma of freshly baked goods wafted through the air as the volunteer staff prepared for the upcoming events. But Charlie was fixated on the door that led to the small meeting room where he and Ava would brainstorm their dreams into reality. When she walked in, a burst of sunlight seemed to follow. Ava was bright and focused, a clipboard clutched in one hand. "Thank you for being here, Charlie. I have some really exciting ideas to discuss," she said, her smile as radiant as ever. "Of course," he replied, trying to match her enthusiasm while his heart raced. He found a seat across from her, the office table feeling like a bridge connecting their vastly different worlds. Ava shuffled her papers and began outlining some plans. "What if we host a series of musical evenings? Kick off with a community choir? You can lead it. We can create a safe space for everyone to share their talents." The idea thundered in his ears. "Me lead?" he stammered, disbelief dancing in his eyes. "Absolutely. I saw how people reacted to you at the concert. You have this way of bringing everyone together," she encouraged, her eyes sparkling. Charlie's heart swelled, but with it came a wave of fear. What if I fail? What if I can't do it? The questions tumbled out before he could stop them. Failure is part of growth, Ava said, leaning forward earnestly. You'll never know until you try. Just remember how you felt on stage. You can inspire others to feel that same joy. Her words wrapped around him, slowly tightening yet comforting all at once. Maybe she was right. The thought of leading a choir sent chills down his spine, but also a flicker of excitement. Just as he began to envision it, doubt crept back in. But what will people think? I'm just a janitor. Ava placed her hand over his on the table, grounding him. You are not just a janitor. You are a musician. You are a dreamer. Let us trust the process together. They spent the next hour brainstorming, sketching together loose plans for an open evening. The ideas bounced back and forth with laughter, sparking something new between them. It was a partnership budding right before their eyes, one that felt like magic, but as their meeting came to a close, her phone buzzed with messages that pulled her back to the corporate world. An urgency clouded her features, and Charlie felt a twinge of anxiety. He watched her glance at the time, the reality of their different lives creeping back in. Charlie, I wish we had more time, she said, biting her lip with a hint of regret. But this is important to me. We need people behind this. I'll push our plans at the board meeting tomorrow. His heart sank slightly. What if they don't see the value in what we're trying to create? Ava looked him straight in the eyes, determination etched on her face. Then we'll show them. Together. For the first time, Charlie felt a surge of bravery. A choir of voices joined in his mind, a harmony urging him forward. Okay, he said, his voice steadier than before. I'm in. Let us do this. As they shared one last moment before parting, he felt the electricity of possibility crackle in the air. The doubt still lurked in the corners of his mind, but there was a flicker of hope that burned brighter as he watched her walk away. In that instant, he realized that this wasn't just about music or community, it was about redefining who he was. But as he stepped out into the bustling corridor, a chilling thought struck him. What if Ava's world was too far removed from his to truly understand the struggle behind his dreams? He shook off the fear, the path ahead felt daunting but exhilarating. With his heart racing and his mind swirling with questions, Charlie braced himself for the challenges that lay ahead. Would the risks he was about to take bring him closer to who he wanted to be, or would it all come crashing down? The next morning found Charlie restless. The unfamiliar touch of determination cranked his anxiety up a notch. As he prepared to face the day, he replayed the moments from yesterday, Ava's encouraging words, her bright eyes, the spark of hope igniting a long-forgotten passion within him. He felt like a flame flickering against the wind, uncertain yet resilient. At the community center, he busied himself with chores, sweeping, mopping, and tidying up. Each action felt different today, infused with the anticipation of what was to come. If Ava succeeded in the board meeting, it would mean a leap not only for their project but also for him, an opportunity to step beyond the confines of his janitorial duties. Would people really buy into this vision they were creating together? As he finished wiping down a table, a warm smile broke from the back of his mind. He remembered playing piano as a child, the joy of striking keys and weaving melodies. The thought sparked something deep inside, a yearning to reclaim that part of himself. Maybe it was time to break down the barriers he'd built around his dreams. Hey, Charlie! Called out Lisa, a fellow staff member. She was shaking out a tablecloth and spread it onto a picnic table outside. Are you coming to the meeting with Ava? He hesitated, the corners of his mouth twisting into a nervous grin. I don't know if that's south my place, he replied, feigning casualness. You totally should. You've got amazing ideas. Lisa encouraged. The choir idea has the center buzzing. Just imagine how powerful it could be. Imagine all those voices coming together in harmony. Yeah, he said, glancing out the window, letting the laughter of children below ease his doubts. But do you think they'll really care about what I have to say? Charlie, you're more than just a janitor. You've created moments, magic even, if you'll let me say that. Remember how people lit up at the concert? She placed a hand on his shoulder. You have a gift. Don't let fear silence it. Her words sank into him, settling like a stone in a still pond, sending out ripples of encouragement. With a resolute nod, he decided he would be there. Yes, he'd participate. He would embrace the possibility of leading that choir, he would step into the director's shoes and allow his passion to drive the process. But behind that excitement lurked a gnawing doubt. After all, he had avoided the spotlight for so long. What if he stumbled? What if he wasn't good enough? Just then, he saw Ava walk through the door to the meeting room, clad in her smart blazer, looking ready to take on the world. Taking a deep breath, Charlie stepped into the conference room. The air was charged with tension, both hopeful and anxious. As Ava began to present their shared vision, he found himself swept up in the enthusiasm, nodding along, even smiling. Then the moment arrived, the one that made his heart race. Ava turned to him and said, Charlie has some words he'd like to share. The community here truly needs a voice like his. She gestured for him to speak, and he felt the world fade away, leaving only the kindling fire inside. With every eye in the room on him, Charlie stood, swallowing hard. He could feel the weight of their expectations pressing down, but he focused on the warmth of Ava's support. I believe in this community, he began, his voice trembling slightly. Music can be a force uniting, uplifting. It's a language we all understand. Just as he found his rhythm, an unexpected voice chimed in from the back. But what qualifies a janitor to lead a choir? A corporate member questioned, eyebrows raised. Silence enveloped the room, leaving Charlie standing on the edge of his doubt. The weight of the challenge hung over him. Could he truly navigate this moment? Could he refute the judgment and claim his place? With adrenaline surging, Charlie replied, because each person has a story worth sharing, and that's what we need, a place to be heard. Everyone deserves a chance to express themselves. As he spoke, he felt something shift in the room, a collective breath held. The murmurs began to rise, but Charlie knew this was only the beginning. He was standing at the edge of a cliff, the wind whipping around him. Would he fly or fall? Desperate for clarity, Charlie glanced at Ava, her eyes reflecting a mix of hope and confidence that pushed him to continue. Maybe it starts with believing in each other, he finished, finding a steadiness in his own voice, but would his words be enough to turn the tide? Would they rally behind him and their vision, or would the weight of doubt pull him back down? The answer remained in the air, thick with possibility. Suddenly, a new voice, quieter but insistent, emerged from the corner. And what if it fails? Charlie realized he had once shared that fear. But now, a new fire ignited. It wasn't about failure. It was about daring to dream. What new challenge lay ahead now that he had spoken up? Charlie's heart pounded as he soaked in the room's atmosphere. A mix of hope and doubt danced in the air, and he could sense the weight of expectations pressing down on his shoulders. As the murmurs of uncertainty filled the space, Charlie's gaze shifted back to Ava, who stood unwavering, embodying the belief that had ignited the spark within him. Let us think about that for a moment, he said, lifting his chin slightly. What if it does fail? Well, we'll still have tried. We'll still have made an effort to bring everyone together, to give them a voice. Isn't that worth something? His voice grew steadier, and he leaned into the moment. Each word cut through the uncertainty, resonating as a call to action. Every person here deserves to share their song, their experience. Failure isn't the end, it's a step in the journey. A silence fell over the room, allowing his thoughts to flow freely. He recalled the laughter of children. He felt the music around him, alive and electric, and let it fuel his courage. I may not have a fancy title or degrees piled up on my wall, but I know the magic of music. I know what it feels like to sing alongside each other, hearts aligned as one. Charlie saw a few heads nod in agreement, and his hope flickered brighter. Imagine a choir where everyone feels safe, where every voice matters. That could be our turning point. Suddenly, the corporate member who had spoken up leaned forward, brow furrowed. Are you suggesting we let anyone lead? Just because they want to? In that moment, Charlie felt the tension rise again, but instead of shrinking back, he embraced it. No, I'm saying if we let fear dictate our choices, we'll only hold ourselves back. Let us choose courage. Let us choose to believe in one another. He could sense the shift in the energy of the room, the whispers of doubt beginning to quiet. Somewhere deep within, a flame roared back to life, coaxing him to fight through every ounce of anxiety. This was his moment. This was their moment. Ava stepped forward, her expression transformed, eyes bright and filled with determination. Charlie isn't just a janitor. He represents an entire community that often goes unheard. When we lift each other up, we embrace the power of unity. Her voice was a melody in itself, echoing the sentiments Charlie had just shared. As the meeting pressed on, he felt a pulse of excitement. Slowly but surely, the tides were shifting. Discussions erupted around him, plans formed, voices raised in enthusiasm, people rallying to support the choir idea. Charlie could hardly believe his ears. Ideas he had just suggested were being built upon, expanded, each proposal more ambitious than the last. As the meeting came to a close, he felt a rush of exhilaration. What had once been just a flicker of hope had ignited into a roaring fire. Yet, in that moment of triumph, a twinge of apprehension clawed at him. Charlie, Ava began, stepping closer with a mixture of excitement and seriousness. What do you think about leading a workshop before we start the choir? We'll need someone to prepare everyone. We need the heart of this vision. Her words made his breath quicken. This was a golden opportunity, yet deep inside, fear whispered again. But what if I mess up? What if Stop, she interrupted softly, placing a hand on his arm. You're already playing the lead role. Embrace it. You might be surprised by what you discover. As Charlie nodded, he felt the ground shift beneath him. This was new territory, a path not yet walked. Would stepping out of his comfort zone open the door to everything he yearned for? The meeting wrapped up, and everyone filed out, filled with renewed energy. Charlie watched them go, their laughter trailing behind like music in the air. Swallowing hard, he asked himself what it would mean to take that leap to lead not just a choir, but a movement. And as he turned to Ava, her hopeful smile lifting his spirits, he felt that same fire beckoning him forward. So, what's the first step? He asked, ready to dive in. But just as the excitement bubbled, a hesitant voice came from the back, and what if nobody shows up? That question lingered heavily in the atmosphere, and Charlie's heart raced again. What lay ahead, success or silence? He felt the flickering flame and knew he wasn't ready to let it go. How would he confront this new doubt? Charlie could hardly shake off the doubt that had just crept into his heart. What if nobody shows up? Echoed in his mind, leaving a chill that threatened to extinguish the fire he had just ignited. He looked around the room, trying to read the faces of the people who had moments ago been filled with enthusiasm. Ava stood by his side, sensing the cloud of uncertainty rolling in. Listen, she said gently, her voice steady and reassuring. If the worries become louder than our dreams, we'll never move forward. Remember why you started this. The music, the joy, it's bigger than one workshop. Charlie took a deep breath, grounding himself in the moment. He thought of the families in his community, of the kids waiting to be heard, of the music that could weave them together in a way nothing else could. You're right, he replied, not fully convinced but willing to try. We're going to do this. I'm going to do this. Later that day, as Charlie sat at his cluttered kitchen table, the sun spilling through the window, he jotted down ideas for the workshop. He envisioned a space filled with laughter, with voices rising in harmony. There would be icebreakers and simple exercises, focusing on the joys of singing and sharing. But in the back of his mind, that nagging fear remained. What if nobody shows up? He muttered to himself again, pushing the paper aside with frustration. Just then, Ava called. "Hey, did you start brainstorming for the workshop?" "Yes," but he began, but Ava interjected. "Charlie, believe in your vision. What if we turn it into an event? Something people look forward to? We could have refreshments or a little showcase at the end." Her voice brimmed with excitement, and he could hear the hustle of something vibrant behind her. He could almost picture them together, filling the room with joy, children stepping nervously to the front, older adults grinning as they rediscovered their voices. With a spark igniting within him, he replied, "That sounds amazing. I'll dig into it." Days turned into a week, and the wheels began turning. Charlie plastered flyers around the neighborhood, bold letters announcing the excitement of the upcoming workshop. Yet, with each one he hung, he felt the flutter of doubt in his stomach. Will anyone notice? Will they care enough to come? But as he stepped into the community center on workshop day, he felt a sense of purpose wash over him. He arranged chairs in a semicircle, set up a table of snacks, and placed a diverse collection of percussion instruments within reach. The moment he opened the door, people began to trickle in, nervous energy swirling around them. Charlie's heart pounded anew, not from anxiety but exhilaration. Each familiar face brought warmth, friends, parents, and even strangers with eager expressions. "You came," he whispered as he welcomed them, his heart swelling with disbelief. As they settled in, laughter bubbled. Charlie felt the collective heartbeat of the group. "Welcome, everyone. Today is about letting your voices shine. No mistakes allowed." He grinned, the fear melting away as the first chords of music began to fill the air. Soon, they were humming together, each note building confidence. The room became alive, the energy palpable, weaving an unbreakable bond among them. Charlie felt the haunting fear of silence fade as laughter and song echoed off the walls, yet, in a corner, he saw a father sitting mostly in the shadows, his eyes glistening as he observed the joy around him. It was a moment of vulnerability etched on his face, as if he longed to join in but couldn't yet find the courage. Before Charlie could think, he approached, knelt down to be at eye level, and asked, "Why not give it a try? You're here, your voice is welcome." Just then, the father hesitated, glancing at the joyful chaos of sound and laughter before him, weighing the leap of faith against the comfort of his silence. Charlie could only watch, holding his breath. What would happen next? Would the father rise to the occasion, or would he retreat back into his uncertainty? The room held its breath alongside Charlie. All eyes drawn to the scene unfolding. The room buzzed with anticipation, a collective heartbeat that seemed to sync with the music floating around them. Charlie felt his breath catch, all eyes now on the father, who seemed lost in thought. The joy of the workshop pulsated, yet here was a moment teetering on the edge of transformation. The father's brow furrowed, a storm of emotions flickering across his face. Charlie settled into the silence, hoping to encourage him with the warmth of his presence. "It's okay," he whispered. "You're not alone." Around them, the humming choir softened. Children turned in their seats, curious glances bouncing back and forth. Ava offered a gentle smile, giving a nod of support that spoke volumes, as if saying, "Whatever happens, we're here for you." Finally, after what felt like an eternity, the father shifted. He straightened up, a glimmer of resolve flashing in his eyes. He took a breath, deep and steady. The room held its breath with him. "Okay," his voice was barely audible, but it broke through the lingering silence. "Okay, I'll try." Charlie's heart lifted. "Great. Just relax and follow along," he encouraged, gesturing toward the group. The father stood, a shaky smile on his face as he stepped into the light. The assembly cheered softly, their support a tangible wave that rippled across the floor. Charlie returned to the front and led the group in a familiar warm-up, everyone joining in with awkward yet eager voices. The father hesitated at first, but soon joined in, his voice a soft echo. With every note, a little more weight seemed to lift from him. Suddenly, a young girl next to him chirped, "See. It's fun." Her smile was infectious, and without realizing it, the father's lips curved up. As the group moved into their first song, a simple tune that blended well with the spirit of the day, he began to lose himself in the melody. Laughter erupted again as they hit a wrong note. Charlie laughed along, and the anxiety that had been palpable began to dissolve into joy. The father found himself smiling wider, swaying slightly to the rhythm, as the music enveloped him. As the first song wrapped up, the participants clapped, their spirits soaring. Charlie could see the father sparkle now, his earlier hesitation forgotten. It was magical. One moment they were strangers, and the next, a community united by song and connection. Yet, just as the atmosphere sparkled with energy, Charlie noticed the door swing slowly open. In walked a few more people, new faces with puzzled expressions, unsure if they could step into this joyful bubble. Charlie's heart raced. Would they join in? As if sensing the challenge, he called out, "Welcome. Come in. There's room for everyone." The newcomers exchanged glances, each weighing their doubts against the enthusiasm swelling from within the room. The father, now bolstered by his own small victory, looked at them with understanding. Charlie caught his gaze and saw a flicker of determination. There was a moment, a heartbeat suspended in time, where hope and fear met. Would the father take a step further, wielding his newfound courage to bring others in? Each set of eyes, each pair of ears, hung on that precarious edge of potential connection. Charlie took a breath, feeling the weight of the moment. Would the workshop become a place where everyone's intentions could merge? The music beckoned, and just like that, the stakes were raised. What could happen next? Would they embrace the unfamiliar and join in the harmony, or retreat back into the shadows of their hesitations? The air crackled with uncertainty. The father's heart raced as he saw the newcomers lingering at the door. Their uncertain expressions mirrored his own when he first stepped into this very room. It was a moment that felt bigger than just music. It was about connection, vulnerability, and trust. He took a step forward, his feet moving as if they had a mind of their own, pushed by hope and desperation alike. "Hey," he called out, his voice steady and warm. Those two syllables broke the low hum of the workshop, drawing glances from around the room. "You're welcome to come join us. It's really fun." Encouraged by his own words, he nodded, inviting them in with open arms. To his surprise, they started to take hesitant steps forward, the curiosity pulling them closer. At that moment, the father's chest swelled with empowerment, a feeling he hadn't felt in years. Charlie seized the opportunity, striding toward the newcomers with a wide grin. "We're just about to dive into another song. You're going to love it. Everyone here is super friendly." He gestured enthusiastically for them to join. A soft smile emerged on one of the newcomers, a young woman whose eyes glimmered with a mix of excitement and apprehension. She glanced back at the others, her friends, who still seemed uncertain. Charlie caught their collective gaze and extended a hand in a welcoming manner. The father could see it then, this wasn't just about fear anymore, it was about community, the shared need for connection. The young woman took a step forward, followed by another newcomer, a tall guy whose shoulders relaxed the moment he joined her. Without thinking, the father started to clap his hands rhythmically, a silent way to encourage them to feel the beat. The music filled the air again, vibrant and alive. "Come on, everyone. Let us show them what it feels like to be a part of this," Charlie called out, his enthusiasm infectious. The group began to repeat the rhythm, clapping and laughing as more newcomers edged inside. The atmosphere shifted. What had been a room of uncertainty transformed into one of encouragement. Laughter bubbled up like an effervescent spring, washing away the doubts and fears that lingered at the margins. With every chorus, the father felt lighter, as if the weight of his past was exchanging places with the joy of the moment. He glanced over at Ava, who beamed with pride, her eyes sparkling. They were no longer just individuals in a room, they were a unit, a tapestry of stories woven together by the fabric of music. As they navigated through the song, Charlie encouraged everyone to share bits of themselves. What's a song that reminds you of home? Or a moment you'll never forget? Almost as if on cue, someone shouted, "Sweet Caroline." And the once unsure newcomers erupted with laughter. The father couldn't help but join in, the energy swelled, an infectious bond that seemed palpable in the room. Just as they offered a faint bump of the infamous chorus, the young woman spoke up, her voice cutting through the merriment. "We thought this place might be intimidating, but it feels so warm here." The room quieted, and for a second, it felt like time stopped. Charlie smiled, her words resonated with the truth of their experience. In that moment, everyone saw each other not as strangers or outsiders, but as potential friends. But before they could dive deeper into this blossoming connection, the back door swung open again. A figure out of sight peered in and shook their head disapprovingly. The laughter dwindled as concern flickered through the room. Could that person disrupt what they had just built? What does this mean for us? The father thought, his heart sinking a bit. Would they let this new worry overshadow the light that had just begun to shine? The air suddenly felt heavy, thick with unanswered questions. What would happen next? Would the magic of their moment be snuffed out? Or could they rally together, facing whatever came through that door as one? The figure at the door took a cautious step forward, their silhouette sharp against the brightness of the workshop's interior. It was a man, his brow furrowed in disapproval, arms crossed tightly over his chest. A wave of tension rippled through the room. The joyful atmosphere began to fade as the newcomers exchanged nervous glances, the weight of uncertainty amplifying the silence. "Mind if I ask what is going on here?" the man said, his tone clipped and authoritative. The father's heart sank. This wasn't just a moment of connection anymore, it threatened to turn into a confrontation. He exchanged a look with Charlie, whose smile had faltered. "This is a music workshop," Charlie replied, his voice calm but firm. "We're bringing people together through song." The man shifted his stance, skepticism etched deep into his features. "I get that, but music can be disruptive. There are rules for a reason. Sometimes those rules need to be broken," a voice piped up from the back of the room, bold and clear. It was the young woman from before, her earlier hesitation replaced with a spark of courage. "We need this. We need each other." The father felt a swell of pride. This was the connection they had all been reaching for, the courage to speak up in the face of disapproval. The man's brow furrowed deeper, and for a moment, silence reigned once more. Another newcomer stepped forward, a quiet guy with glasses, who hadn't said much until now. "All of us have been through something painful. We're here to heal. Music is how we do that." There was power in those words. The father felt the faces of the newcomers turn towards one another, a shared understanding growing among them. It was true, they were all there for a reason beyond just music. They were looking for solace, for belonging. "Can't you feel it?" the young woman continued, gesturing widely. "This place isn't just a workshop. It's safe. It's a family." The man's expression softened momentarily, a flicker of awareness breaking through his skepticism. Still, he remained rooted in place, as if the ground under him had suddenly become unsteady. "Maybe we can compromise," he said slowly, the fire in his voice cooling to a more neutral tone. The father saw the chance to turn the tide. He stepped forward, his own voice steady and unwavering. "We're not here to cause problems. We're here to support each other. That's what people need to express themselves, to find normalcy in the chaos." Around the room, there were nods of agreement, even some whispers of support. The tension shifted, just a little, as the man uncrossed his arms. "All right, but let's not get too loud. You can stay for now," he conceded, his gaze darting between the father and Charlie, seeking assurance that chaos wouldn't follow. Relief washed over the group, and laughter soon enveloped them once more. The father could hardly believe it, they had stood their ground together. "Let us make some music then." Charlie cheered, and the rhythm soon resumed, the energy slowly rebuilding. The newcomers, emboldened, began to share their stories, each tale woven with echoes of laughter, tears, and understanding, but as the melodies intertwined and grew louder, the father caught a glimpse of the man at the door, still lingering. His expression held a curiosity that suggested perhaps he was starting to understand the magic of this moment. The music swelled, lifting spirits higher. Yet, in the back of his mind, a thought lingered: was this a temporary truce? Would their shared connection withstand scrutiny, or would they face more obstacles ahead? As laughter filled the air once again, the father glanced sideways at Ava. Behind her smile, he saw a hint of worry, a question that mirrored his own. Could they truly keep this light shining? In that fleeting moment of joy, the father's heart raced again, not in fear but in anticipation of what was still to come. What new challenges awaited them around the corner? Would their newfound family survive the next storm? As Charlie stood before the assembled group, the music swelling around them, a sense of electricity tingled through the air. They had ventured into uncharted territory, a place where doubt and fear met hope and discovery. The challenge they faced was daunting, yet the weight of their shared voices began to feel like an unbreakable bond. The father, emboldened by the courage of the newcomers, stepped forward once more. "We can't let a single voice drown out the harmony we've created today," he spoke, his voice steady and confident. His heart echoed with the rhythm of the workshop, pulsing with determination. "We are stronger together, and our music holds the power to break down walls." Applause erupted around him. It felt like an awakening, not just for him but for all who stood there. Charlie's heart swelled. He saw the transformation in the faces surrounding him, anxiety blossoming into joy, uncertainty melting into vulnerability. In that moment, he realized that the music they shared was only a reflection of the strength they could wield as a community. "Let us sing with all we've got," Charlie encouraged, his voice rising above the clamor. He felt invigorated, and with every note that rang out, the spirit of togetherness fueled their souls. As laughter mixed with song, the earlier tensions began to dissipate like wisps of cloud in the warm embrace of sunshine, but just then, the man at the door, who had appeared skeptical at first, stepped forward again. The room fell silent, a collective breath held in anticipation. "Maybe I misjudged you all," he admitted, a tentative smile breaking through. "You've created something special here. It's more than just noise, there's passion, connection." The group erupted in cheers, the warmth of acceptance spreading through the air. Feeling the surge of momentum, Ava stepped up alongside Charlie. "This is just the beginning," she proclaimed, her eyes shining. "Together, we can build something incredible. Music should not only elevate our spirits but also unite us as a community." Her statement struck a chord, resonating with the hopeful atmosphere they had crafted. Upon hearing Ava's words, Charlie felt a flicker inside him, a clarity that had once seemed so distant. Maybe he wasn't just a janitor anymore. Maybe, through music, he could become a leader, a conduit for change. Where once self-doubt had anchored him, now stood a vision he couldn't ignore. "I'll help lead the choir," he declared, feeling a wave of support wash over him. "Let us keep pushing forward, keep inviting everyone along this journey." Around him, a chorus of affirmations erupted like fireworks, each voice mingling, creating a dazzling symphony of unity. The workshop had become a sanctuary, a healing place where the wounds of life could slowly mend through shared purpose. As they wrapped up, laughter echoing in the air, Charlie caught sight of the father, who had first stepped into the shadows unsure of his place. The father's eyes shone with pride and victory, arms raised in celebration. "We did it," he exclaimed. "We opened the door for so many more." And then it dawned on Charlie that every face in that room held a ripple of potential. Each story mattered, each song waited to be sung. Every individual was a thread weaving into the fabric of the community they were creating together. with a final burst of encouragement, Charlie said, "Let us carry this spirit out into our lives. Music isn't confined to just this space, let us take it to the streets, to our homes, to every corner where we can spread joy and connection." The group cheered, their hearts united in purpose. They had come together not just as a collection of individuals, but as a family, forging a new path forward one note at a time. As the sun set outside, casting a warm glow into the community center, Charlie felt something shift within him. This was what life was meant to be, a harmonious blend of hope, connection, and heartfelt transformation. With a tear of joy escaping his eye, he whispered, "Together, we're unstoppable." And little did he know, the adventure was just beginning. You need to subscribe now to catch the next chapter of this incredible journey. This is the moment to show your support. If you felt the heartwarming transformation, leave a like now to feed the algorithm. Don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this uplifting story. Let's make a difference together.